Thank you very much. Wow.
This is week 141 of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. I'm Anna Belokur, reporting to you from Kyiv. As you can see, I'm not in the usual studio. We're in the process of moving, but I'll be using this temporary setup to take you through the top stories from this week. In a remarkable turn of events, Donald Trump has once again been elected President of the United States. For many supporters of Ukraine, this news comes as a blow. Trump has repeatedly vowed to end Russia's war, but with no mention of Ukraine's sovereignty or long-term security. And he's even lauded Russian dictator Vladimir Putin as a strong leader. His running mate, soon-to-be Vice President J.D. Vance, has been one of the most outspoken opponents of aid to Ukraine. Literally anything could happen under Trump's rule, and nothing is certain. The things he's said publicly haven't boded great for his stance on Ukraine, but his silences and ambiguities have left far more room for anxiety. Trump has said throughout his campaign that if he's elected, he'll end Russia's war in Ukraine within 24 hours. He said again in his victory speech that he wants to be the guy who ends wars. There are a lot of questions about timelines that are impossible to answer now. We're 2 months out from Trump's inauguration. Joe Biden isn't likely to do a lot in that time that could shake the status quo. When Trump takes office, he'll be dealing with a lot of pressing issues, both domestic and international. Former U.S. envoy for Ukraine-Russia negotiations Kurt Volker told the Kyiv Independent that he thinks the war will be one of Trump's early priorities, given how much he's criticized Biden as a weak, slow-moving president. Trump is certain that he's able to hammer out a deal and cement ending the war as one of his quick victories. In the meantime, Russia is pushing forward in the east of Ukraine at record speeds and is expected to continue doing so at least for the next few months before Trump's inauguration. Trump won't say what his plan for ending Russia's war is beyond pressuring both sides into negotiating a quick end to the conflict. The Wall Street Journal reported that the plan could involve postponing Ukraine's accession to NATO by at least 20 years, freezing the war along current battle lines, and establishing a demilitarized zone in the east, similar to the one that exists between North and South Korea. Okay, so the obvious question. Trump can talk all he likes, but what if he can't get the two sides to agree? If neither Russia nor Ukraine accepts the terms presented, the war will likely continue in whatever way without U.S. backing. Europe would likely have to step up, which would require many sacrifices that many Europeans are definitely still unprepared for. It's predicted that if the U.S. withdraws support, Europe can keep Ukraine going for about another year. It's hard to say more than that. Russia certainly isn't going to agree to conditions that they think Ukraine can rebuild itself from. As long as they think Ukraine has a chance of becoming an integrated European state, they're going to keep trying to destroy it. President Zelensky was among the first to congratulate Trump on social media on Tuesday, and the two held a phone call later that day. Kyiv's stance thus far has been one of praising Trump's strengths as a leader and decision-maker, revealing a desire to forge closer ties between Ukraine and America, while pressuring Trump to be strong against Russia. As Zelensky said at Thursday's Budapest summit, where European leaders convened to discuss security in light of the U.S. election, peace cannot be bought by showing weakness, a clear message he hopes Trump will take to heart. Putin congratulated Trump on Thursday, saying he is ready to have discussions. Ukrainian and European leaders are cautiously reacting to the election, avoiding any overt criticism of Trump, and instead following Kyiv's suit in focusing on cooperation going forward. Because truly, no one knows what happens now. Trump's views and choices are still anyone's guess, and nothing is off the table.
Hey, it's Masha Lavrova here, interrupting Ukraine this week to let you know that a new episode of Dare to Ukraine premiered yesterday. Be sure to check it out to see how Kyiv, Ukraine's second largest city, is navigating life amidst the war. And now, back to Anna Belokur.
The day after President Zelensky said that 11,000 North Korean troops had been deployed to Russia's Kursk Oblast, some of those troops reportedly engaged in combat with Ukrainian forces for the first time on November 5th. Ukraine's defense minister Rustem Umerov said that the troops were mixed in with Russian soldiers. Kyiv expects 5 units of 3,000 people each to be deployed along the 1,500-kilometer front line, bringing the total number of North Koreans involved in the war to 15,000. Importing North Korean troops is just one of Putin's tactics to avoid another round of mobilization, which he'll nonetheless have to announce at some point relatively soon if the war continues at this speed. The last round began in September of 2022, and about 260,000 Russians fled the country after it had been announced. The international community still hasn't formulated a cohesive response to North Korea's involvement in the war. NATO chief Mark Rutte has said that he wants to meet with Trump to discuss mounting threats from what is considered an axis of hostile countries, including Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. South Korea has repeated its claim that it might reconsider its weapons policy, but nothing concrete. This week, Russia also crossed the line of over 700,000 casualties since the start of the full-scale invasion, just 77 days after hitting the 600,000 mark, according to calculations by the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces. 6 of the top 10 bloodiest days for Moscow's forces since the start of the full-scale invasion occurred in October, according to Ukraine. As I mentioned when talking about the election, though, this tactic of throwing men into the meat grinder is working by Moscow's metrics. They're gaining ground and pushing westward at a very fast rate, despite the huge losses, getting closer to the goal of occupying 2 of Ukraine's easternmost regions, Donetsk and Luhansk Oblasts, in their entirety, every day. That's all for this week. We'll be back next Sunday with more news from Ukraine. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to become a member of the Kyiv Independent community, please visit the link in the description below. I'll see you next week.